Good morning, EDU 428 students. Welcome to week 10. This is a quick update about course events. Number one, everyone's grades and feedback have been submitted relative to the discussion board assignment that was inclusive of your case study from the Gorski chapter, as well as the reading U.S. Language Policy and Education by Garcia. I just wanted to say overall that your posts were thoughtful and detailed and nuanced and inclusive of the Garcia readings. And I know that that was a stretch to make sense of this sort of text around the history of U.S. language policy and then this other text about classroom practices, but I think you all handled that well, and in your feedback to your peers offered really insightful commendations and recommendations for thinking about these cases that are highly relevant to your work with immersion bilingual or English language learning students. Secondly, it is week 10, as I mentioned, so you should soon be receiving an invitation to complete course evaluations. I ask that prior to completing those evaluations that you watch a video that Dr. Wolfmeyer, who's faculty in secondary ed, has created regarding the importance of course evaluations in education. As teachers, we're all evaluated. So he has created a short video that I think is very relevant. So please make sure you check that out, and that link will be provided on D2L. Last point. The last assignment for this course is all that's left. So that is the teachers as leaders and advocates for emergent bilingual youth, and that's your collaborative project. You had the choice of signing up for one of three groups. The first group was expanding, shifting understandings about language. The second group was improving school-based practices or policies or services. And the third group was fostering and sustaining school-family connections. So thanks to all of you who have already, who have signed up for group. Everyone signed up for a group, so we're good to go as far as that's concerned. So we've basically completed step one. In terms of communicating with your group, in terms of logistics, you all can decide the best way that you want to work together. In the past, I've had students who communicate exclusively using the Google material, the Google Docs, as a way to document and engage in their conversations. There's also FaceTime, there's also Skype. There's also in-person meetings, but obviously this is a hybrid class, so in-person meetings are not required. I do ask, however, that each group creates a Google Doc and a Google Slide as soon as possible and share that Google Doc and that Google Slide with me at pabon@kutztown.edu. That's the only monitoring of your your work that I'm going to be engaging in. So I want to see that you're engaging in the work. So each group should create one Google Doc, one Google Slide. So there's a total of two groups per topic, so I should get 6 of those invitations, and I'd like those by this Friday. So please set up your Google Doc and your Google Slide and submit that to me, and send me the invitation, by this Friday. Okay, the second part of your assignment, and I'm just going to talk through the directions that are already on D2L. Your task in this assignment is really to consider your work as a teacher leader, and if you were asked to conduct a professional development session for teachers at a school that has become increasingly culturally and racially and linguistically diverse in terms of the youth populations, how would you construct a quick 15-minute Google Slide session and a one-page handout for the teachers in that school? So you've done a lot of coursework so far and learned a lot of information about all 3 of the possible topics. So your mock professional development session is going to synthesize all of what you've learned in this semester, all of the readings, and put that together in one Google slide and one-page handout that you will present on the final day of class. So my suggestion is to begin talking to one another as soon as possible about the topics that you think are most meaningful, that you want to make sure that you include in your presentation. You want to begin to reflect and review your notes from the course. You also want to think about the themes that have reemerged in the course. So as an individual, begin to think of like what ideas that you want to contribute to this presentation. Okay, the third step in this process is to begin your partner or group discussions. You are expected to engage in three discussions. And once again, you can use a range of modalities to engage in those discussions. My expectation is that you document those discussions. That's why you have that Google Doc. I want to see evidence of those discussions, your notes from the discussions. So that's what's going to be in your Google Doc. And you need to have 3 discussions over the course of the semester. In that discussion, you should be talking about your understanding of the topic, your professional experiences. You can have parts where you agree and disagree. This is a place to brainstorm all that you've engaged in studying across the semester and to make some decisions about what you're going to convey to your mock peers, right, in your professional development session. At the same time, in these discussions, you should also be developing your Google Slides. So your discussion should be really generative. Your Google Slide is going to be what you present. Google Slide is the same thing as PowerPoint, just to be clear to everybody. You're going to present to class. As you develop your presentation, so as you finish up maybe your third group discussion, and to be clear, you're not limited to 3 discussions. You may have 4 or 5 discussions. That's up to you. I'm just requiring that you engage in 3, and each discussion is worth 10 points for a total of 30 points. You make sure that you review guidelines for an effective PowerPoint presentation. An effective PowerPoint presentation is not reading everything that's off the slide. So if you go to D2L, I've provided a link for you in how to make effective PowerPoint presentations, but you can also use outside sources. The step 4 of this project is to present in class your Google Slide, and that's in our last class meeting, which is on April 23rd, and that is worth 40 points. And this is, remember, a 15-minute presentation, and you'll be providing a 1-page handout to your peers. So make sure there's 21 students in the class, so make sure there's sufficient handouts for everyone. And finally, each member of the group will complete an evaluation of their own work on the presentation, as well as their peers' participation in this project. So this is sort of the foundation, the framework for the last project. It's very self-guided, but at the same time, I am here to provide support to groups as you work on developing this Google Slide and this 1-page handout. So, feel free to contact me with questions, concerns, and support along the way. Okay, that completes our video for this week 10. And just to sort of underscore, good work on your case study discussion board post. Look out for the video from Dr. Wolfmeyer on course evaluations, as well as your invitation to complete your course evaluations. And finally, get started on these collaborative projects. You have almost a month to make these happen. and I'm here to help you out along the way. Thank you. Have a good week.